Hello, everybody. This is a new experience now, isn't it? Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere within driving distance of Cleveland, Ohio. My name's Brian Engelman. Today is Saturday. So fast, so furious. If you haven't checked out our episode of Strictly Football with Jim Mitchell and Mike Barra, please check it out. It's on Rumble and YouTube. Also on our X feed at American_media_. Check it out. I wanted to talk about the Cleveland Browns. And of course, wow, where are the comments on here? Here are the comments. Okay, cool. It looks like I can see your comments. So if you have questions or comments or jokes, please type them below. I would love to hear your thoughts. The Cleveland Browns sit at number 2. See, I also want to cover the news, but it's going to be a little tricky because I'm not in the command center as usual. And so looking at other screens and sharing things that I have prepared is just not really an option at the moment. But what I do want to talk about is the Cleveland Browns. I do a sports show called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. I've done that for 14 years. Like I said, I also do Strictly Football, and that's been 24 episodes strong, which is pretty cool. Really enjoyed season 1. So I'm trying to figure out if I'm in season 2 because it's post Super Bowl, or does all the off-season stuff, the free agency show that we just did, and the draft show that we're going to do on Monday at 5 p.m., is that season 1 or season 2? It's actually an interesting question. Maybe everything is season 1 until the season starts in, September or something? But my Cleveland Browns are in a bit of a jam, bit of a predicament. A lot of it is self-inflicted. You know, you have a championship window available to you. And look, I guess there's a lot of examples you can look at. Look at the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. Jarrett Allen, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Donovan Mitchell. That is a core 4. All young, all coming into their prime or in their prime. Evan Mobley took a huge step forward this year. Darius Garland took a huge step forward because he was healthy this year. He was not healthy last year. Donovan Mitchell's been consistent along with Jarrett Allen. You have a championship window, and it's brief. You never know how long or how short it's going to be. So when you're in that championship window, you have to go with everything you've got to get that title while you can. And the Cleveland Browns, that championship window, after going through that pathetic winless season. By the way, check out our documentary, Football Equals Family, the story of the Cleveland Browns' perfect parody parade and protest. That's on, I don't know if that's on Rumble. It's not on Rumble. I need to upload my entire catalog from YouTube over to Rumble. But when the Browns bottomed out, they started accumulating draft picks and rebuilding, relaunching, reloading. And they got Myles Garrett. They got Denzel Ward. They got Nick Chubb. They got Baker Mayfield. David Njoku. That was the core. was the core of your championship contending team. 3 on offense, 3 on defense, something like that. You could kind of debate whether you had a core 4, core 6, core 8, core 7. But when you have your core, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, you're like, go now. It's win now mode. When it came time to pay Baker Mayfield, unfortunately, it was in a season where he got injured. And for some reason, some of the fans turned on Baker. For some reason, the team turned on Baker. He fought through an injury. He was not playing as himself, throwing more interceptions than usual. He's a very accurate passer, actually. Bit of a gunslinger. You'll throw some spectacular throws and then have a couple bad throws. Like, what were you thinking? You're like, shouldn't have. I was a little too aggressive there. You're like, okay. I don't know. I for one feel as though the interception is sometimes situationally an overrated statistic. And you air it out, and it leads to an interception. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think I'd rather have a chance to move the ball downfield, and if not, so what? Intercept it. And that's the equivalent of a punt. So, sometimes we obsess over the interception. And that is usually one of the number one rules from head coaches. I was listening to an interview with legendary Buckeye coach Jim Tressel. And he was saying, he had a couple of rules. I think he said he had 3 rules for his quarterbacks. Interview with John Gruden. I forget the other 2 things, but one of the major tenets was do not turn the ball over. Anyway, Baker Mayfield played with a torn labrum. He didn't play very well. It was a very average season. Even Baker playing terrible had us like 1 game out of the wild card spot right up until the last week. Like we were right in it, even though we weren't playing great. And the Browns had a decision to make with their championship roster. They said, should we pay Baker Mayfield, going rate to extend this guy? And he wanted top dollar. They're like, well, maybe we're not sold on you at top dollar. We're sold on you at like 70% of top dollar. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And the process dragged out. He played injured, fell out of favor with some of the fans and some of the team, allegedly. And, maybe Barry Stefanski and Jimmy Haslam. So the Browns had to figure out what they were going to do at quarterback. They could have signed him to a 1-year extension or a couple-year extension, but he was ready for that big extension, the Josh Allen extension, the Lamar Jackson extension. And the Browns were like, we can't pay you that much. We're not sold on you at that level. So they went ahead and blew up the core of the Cleveland Browns and went out and got Deshaun Watson. Deshaun allegedly already said, no thanks, I don't want to play in Cleveland. And we backed up the Brinks truck and said, no, hold on. What if we give you almost $250 million fully guaranteed? He said, all right, I'll sign. And it's been pretty much a disaster ever since. All of the creepy abuse allegations, all of the injuries. And in between, he played a couple decent games. He played a perfect half against the Ravens to get that come from behind victory. But by and large, no bueno. By and large, it's been an unmitigated disaster to the point where Jimmy Haslam was asked about it recently, and he said, we swung and we missed. We gave it a big shot, and we missed. course, Deshaun is trying to use that as motivation. Oh, Jason, I'm here. Yes. Jason, hello. I finished my Baker diatribe. I'm setting the scene, Jason. What I was doing was talking about the core. I said the Cavaliers have a core four: Mobley, Garland, Allen, and Donovan, Mitchell. The Cleveland Indians of the mid-'90s had Bell, Baerga, Lofton, Ramirez, Tomey, Vizquel, Alomar. They had such a core. And what I was saying about the Browns is that we had our core in place. That was the championship squad we were supposed to roll with for a couple of years. But Jimmy Haslam decided to let Andrew Berry blow it up. And we set our franchise back several years. Lost, 3 years of first-round picks? We lost tons of just fans who are frustrated, angry, annoyed. It divided the fan base. There's no doubt about it. It absolutely divided the fan base. But regardless, it set us back for years. Cleveland didn't have to blow up everything. And what happened is then the Steelers blew up Nick Chubb's knee. And he hasn't been the same ever since. He came back last year. He lost a step. He didn't look that good. It's like, what are you talking about? Everybody lost a step last year. And I think you need to take a look at our offensive line coach that went up to Tennessee because his boy's the head coach up there. When we lost the offensive line whisperer, our offensive line took a major step backward. Of course, Nick Chubb's holes are going to be worse to run through. Now, maybe his burst is different. Maybe his acceleration is different. Maybe his elusivity is different. That's fine. But it's like, we're done on Baker. Baker's gone. We're done on Watson. Watson's gone. Re-injured his Achilles in the offseason. Even if he wanted to come back from the shoulder, the Achilles blew up again. From the Achilles. The Achilles happened twice now. And you're like, good grief. You got that joint held together with a crusty rubber band and a couple of paper clips, like MacGyver. So it's not just that we set ourselves back a few years. We lost the window of Nick Chubb in his prime. The prime of Nick Chubb is gone. Can he come back? Look, he's still squatting 500-600 pounds. I saw it the other day. I would bet on Chubb. Chubb hasn't signed anywhere else. Sign him. You're telling me we can't have a third running back on the roster? Keep Jerome Ford, draft a running back, and keep Nick Chubb as your third running back. Maybe you don't have 3 active running backs on your roster. Why not? Make an exception for Nick Chubb. After what they did to the fans. By the way, enjoy your concert for draft day for Don't Stop Believing Journey. They want you to keep believing, Cleveland. Keep believing in Cleveland. But that championship window, look at Denzel Ward. How many concussions, how many injuries? Is his window closed? Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he wasn't even a part of the original core 4, the original core championship window of Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, David Njoku. But Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Joker, J-O-K, he jumped right in. It's like, oh my gosh, this dude is a badass. And now he may never play a game of football again. Might have a career-ending injury. Jason, question of the day. Who do you want the Browns to draft a quarterback and why? Wait, Jason, do you have the ability to join today's show? Let's see. That's private chat. What's this? That's a QR code. No. How do I get someone to join? I don't know how to do that today. was trying to see if there's a way I could give you the link. See if you felt like jumping on. Oh, maybe here. Yes. That is how I do it. Okay. Here, I'm going to text you, Jay, just in case. So the championship window is closed now. And we have to figure out what we're doing. Is it going to be a situation where we reload? Look, Myles Garrett said, I want out. I've been here for the entire arc of this shit, and I'm tired. I'm tired of messing with it. Buffering, am I back? Myles Garrett went on a tour at the combine saying, trade me, trade me, trade me. And then the Browns were able to extend him and pay him did he set the bar for the biggest defensive contract in history? Something like that. You know, and Myles has earned it, right? Or has he? You know, you got that David Njoku thing. It's like, well, you look great with your shirt off. You're a great physical specimen. Like if you were standing on a podium at the Caesar's Palace Forum Shops, I mean, you look like you're chiseled out of stone, the prototypical badass football player. But David Njoku's been kind of underperformed. He had a great season last year because of Flacco. He had like his breakout season last year. So did Jerry Jeudy, for that matter, actually. But some people wonder, is Myles Garrett? I mean, yeah, you get your sacks. You got 2 defensive player of the years, but like there's always that thing with Myles Garrett that he underperforms. Is he worth all the hassle? Should we have reloaded? That's the question, Jason. Hey, happy to have you here. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Excellent. Myles Garrett, do you think he underperforms or do you think he delivers everything you would expect out of your defensive player of the year, cornerstone, face of the franchise, $250 million player? What do you think about Myles? Should we have traded him in the offseason?
My personal opinion, honestly, Brian, he takes time off. He takes two plays off. I think he's out there for the money. I'm not sure what the front office told him or anything, but at the end of the day, they got him to stay in Cleveland. So who are we drafting at number 2? That's my question. What did we tell him to keep Myles Garrett here after demanding a trade? You're frozen, Brian.
I should be back now, yeah?
Yeah, there you go. Did you
Yeah,
catch
this is
any of
new
that?
for me. Yeah, you were asking about, well, you said Myles was taking plays off, and then you were asking who we should take at number 2, I believe, right?
Yeah, but what did the front office tell Myles to keep him here?
Well, I said number 1, they backed up the money truck. You know, they rolled up a ton of money. But Myles could have got money anywhere. You know, like so he was just saying I want to play for a contender. I think the catch-22 with Myles was we had him under contract for what, 1 more year or 2 more years, and it was 1+1 because then we could franchise him after that for 2 more years.
Yeah.
He was locked in for 4 more years or something. Like he had no leverage, and he's saying trade me to a contender. You're like, you want me to trade the defensive player of the year for a number 32 pick? That's not going to help us rebuild. We can't get your value back with a 31 first round pick. No, take 2 of them. Oh, great. I'll take 229 overall picks. You don't get Myles Garrett's every draft. You don't get them every year. you can't replace someone with two number 28 draft picks. So the list of 6 teams that are competing for championships, they didn't have the arsenal of firepower. They didn't have the draft picks to offer. So he never had a chance. He had no leverage, and the teams he wanted to play for didn't have the draft capital to make it happen. Now, I will say that Andrew Berry is pretty legendary for getting people like Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy for next to nothing. Toss you a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick. You know, I mean, it's not that you only had to go with draft capital from those top 4 or 6 teams that Miles wanted to play for. But I don't think there was much that could have been done. And so what did the Browns say? I mean, look, maybe Miles just had some chance to blow off steam, take the temperature of the room, check around the league, gauge interest, kind of say, hey, if you're interested, make the Browns an offer. They're listening, but it's got to be big. I want to go play and win playoff games and go to a Super Bowl. And he had a chance for everyone to do that, and nobody came with enough to make it close to palatable for the Browns to consider it. And he went, fuck, I'm just stuck. And so he resigned. I think that's kind of what it was. I don't know that we gave him a genius plan to get back to the playoffs this year. I just think he didn't have any options. What do you think they said to him?
I honestly think that they told him that they're going to grab somebody, a powerhouse at number 2. There's really no powerhouses I can think of unless you're going for Hunter, where he could play both positions. Sanders is just not my thing. I really hope we don't draft Sanders at number 2. We don't need the Dion drama in the locker room. We've had way too much locker room drama in the past with OBJ and his dad, and like I don't want the father son drama in the locker room anymore. You know, we've had that way too much.
The OBJ and father drama. It's not just that Dion is a diva. It's
Right.
the father son, the Lamar Ball, the LaMelo, LiAngelo Ball. It's
That ball comment was like on point.
yeah. You got me thinking. I mean, but Dion is a unbelievable once in a generation talent. I mean, played multiple sports, played offense and defense. I mean, the dude probably could have played quarterback himself if he decided to. I don't know
Right.
that he's toxic per se, but I think what you're just saying is the situation in general would have been tough. But Dion re-signed. He extended his contract up with Colorado, right? So he's going to be coaching there longer now. I thought he might be gone now that his kid's gone.
Yeah, I really don't think I don't understand how they're so big and bad. They didn't even win their championship. You know, I think Colorado's overrated just because of prime time. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, he brings the energy. He brings the eyeballs. Call me what you want, but don't call me irrelevant. No
Yeah,
publicity is bad publicity, and that
yeah,
really is the nature of 2025, and maybe it's always been this way. Back in my family, on my dad's side, we had a family member that was affiliated with the Wild West shows, like the Buffalo Bill shows, and you had the Ringling Brothers, all those city to city, town to town promoters. Really just advertising in a day of dusty trails and stagecoaches, trying to get attention.
yeah. You
Come
know,
come out and buy a ticket for 25 cents. Fantastic. And in the NIL age, where you want people to go get attention and get some deals, some advertising, that really helps the Colorado Buffaloes more than ever before, I think.
right. You know, the current mock has us taking Hunter at number 2.
Let's talk about it. I heard this perspective from what's that sports guy Haskin, Jaskin, Raskin, Jamie Baskin, something. Anyway, Anyway, the conversation is this: do the Cleveland Browns ever draft a wide receiver at number 2?
No,
Just positionally, does the NFL draft a wide receiver at number 2?
not typically. No.
Not typically. I mean, you're talking Randy Moss, you're talking Megatron. Find the best of the best How many of these players are going number two? Not many at all. Yeah, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, they didn't go number two.
Yeah.
Do you ever draft a cornerback at number two? Does the NFL draft cornerback, the position, at number two? No,
There have been
they
some
don't.
DBs drafted in the top 5.
There have been a small handful of people over the past 30 years, yes, there have. But traditionally, some of those top picks, they're reserved for the quarterbacks, for the edge rusher, for the power position. And so the point that they were making, Andy Baskin, is that a guy's name?
Yeah.
Sports guy, maybe? And I was just trying to attribute it because it got me thinking. And they said the Browns don't take wide receivers in the first round, period. And the thing about Hunter, yeah, he won the Heisman. He's not your prototypical badass wide receiver that you would take in the top 5. He's not a standout wide receiver built like Megatron, hands like Randy Moss, work ethic like Jerry Rice. It's just he's a very good player on a Colorado team that didn't really face all that much top-notch talent. He's able to out-jump some guys from balls, but like, is he the perfect route runner? Does he have the size? No, he doesn't have the size. And then you go, well, at cornerback, is he a shutdown, lockdown, Ed Reed kind of, back of the defense guy that's just going to be a ball hawk interception machine, super size? And no, he's not. So why in the world do we take him at number two, other than the fact that, we have so many holes in our offense and defense? It's almost like drafting two players that can help your team on both sides of the ball, which is like having 2 first-round draft picks. So that line of thought got me thinking. How would you respond to that?
You're not playing 60 minutes in the NFL. Let's just be real. Okay? He's not playing Iron Man football. He's not going to be playing 17 games on both sides of the ball, Brian. Like, honestly, let's just be real. If we're taking anybody at number 2 and we can't get Cam Ward, we can't get our quarterback that is NFL ready, in my opinion, you take Abdul Carter. You line him up on the opposite side of Myles Garrett. You have a nasty defense. You have Schwartz as your DC. And they took a step back from a season ago.
Yeah.
That defense is absolutely atrocious last year, and the offensive line completely forgot how to block when they lost Callahan. I just don't get it. You need to fill these
Callahan's
gaps.
loss was so it was so monumental when we lost Callahan. I knew it was going to be a very big problem. I didn't know it was going to be that big of a problem. But also the line's getting older. Also, we've had injuries. Okay, who doesn't have injuries on the O-line? I get it. But
I mean, Conklin,
okay,
number one, he shouldn't be there still. You know, that tackle, he's out 90% of the season.
yeah. I mean, availability is the best ability. That's, and shit, that's what they look at LeBron James. You can love him or hate him, and I totally understand all takes on him. But the longevity, the ability to be at the top of your craft for 23 years is unfucking believable.
Yeah.
Availability is the best ability. Michael Jordan, he disappeared for a couple of years. He retired early. He was still a young man. He had plenty of basketball left, except he didn't. His ability was like he spent what was in the tank. He drove
Right.
as far as the gas tank would take him, and LeBron's just run circles around him because of availability and being a top 10 player his entire career. It's astonishing because you've seen old players in the NBA. They could go for 20 years, but now they turn into a 3-point a game guy coming off the bench playing 6 minutes. Vince
Right.
Carter takes a couple of jump shots. An irrelevant player, not even a starter compared to LeBron. A top 10 player still in year 23. So anyway, that would actually be my concern with Abdul Carter. What is the deal with that foot strain? Like a hairline fracture, it's something that could become a problem in the future. Is it much ado about nothing? Because availability being the most important ability, he's already undersized at defensive end. What are you not concerned at all about the foot thing?
A foot injury could slow somebody down That's for damn sure. But honestly, like I think if he's going to be back and ready, and if he doesn't go in the top five, he's going to fall. I wouldn't be too concerned for the foot injury at this moment, but you got to make the moves, and you got to make them now. If you're building a championship team for Myles Garrett, that what he wants, you got to make these moves.
Well, that's so. If you're drafting them, you're saying that Hunter be an Iron Man. Why can't he play on both sides? He did it before. He did it in college. He said he'll quit playing in the pros if they don't let him play both sides.
Well,
You're
that's
just saying fewer snaps on both sides.
maybe he'd be able to do it in the pros for a different team. But if you look at our training staff, all the injuries that we have on defense, there's an issue there. And you froze up again.
Okay, I think I'm back now.
You're
I was
back.
listening to you. All right. Okay, I froze. What were you saying again?
I'm just saying, like, maybe Hunter can play Iron Man football somewhere in the NFL. But if you look at the track history of the Cleveland Browns training staff and the defense, all the injuries, we're not gonna put Glass Williams in there because that kid is just literally was just glass. But like Denzel with the concussions, he doesn't lead with his head anymore. Now he's got shoulder injuries. You have all your defensive backs that are you have look JOK, your prime example right here at the beginning of the broadcast. JOK Guardian helmet. I really think that was an issue for him. He should have never used the Guardian helmet in play. But you
You think
have
the Guardian helmet played a role in the injury? Actually, like it actually did the opposite.
I really do. I really do. I think Guardian helmets are only
Elaborate
made.
on that.
What's that?
Elaborate on that. I don't know that I've really thought about that angle of the Guardian helmet. They're brand new. We don't know a lot about them, and they're
Well, the Guardian
testing all of.
they're brand new for in play. They're brand new for game days. They're not brand new for training camps or practice. They use them for concussion protocols. They've used these in their facilities for years now. Why are they all of a sudden trying to? They're trying to all of a sudden the NFL is trying to get rid of the concussion situations and the lawsuits that they've had in the past. If you want to date back to concussions, let's talk about Junior Seau, Aaron Hernandez. We could talk about that, and I understand where they're coming from, but you're adding extra. And I believe it's extra heavier for your games. It's slowing your play down, and if you're leading with that, it's going to put an extra impact into it. That's just my opinion, Brian.
Interesting. Interesting. Jury's still out. I am willing. I've I also do the TNAM AM show and the Agree to Disagree show, of course, for everyone out there listening. Anyone out there listening, hit like, hit subscribe, and leave your comments. Tell us your name or your initials and where you're watching from, and who you would like to see your favorite team take in the first round of the NFL draft. But yeah, I've covered a couple of stories that have been in the news this week, altercations leading to court cases, and I'm going, you know what? I don't have all the information here. Why would I be able to come up with an ironclad position on a story where I can't quite get the facts accurate? Who, what, where, when, why, how? I don't have all the data. I can't make a firm determination that I know one way or another. And I think with something as brand new as the Guardian caps, you make a good point. They're not brand new because they were being used in practice playoffs, but they're new to the game field. They're new to the speed of an NFL game, the velocity of those hits, and they are gathering all the data. The number one thing they're doing with those Guardian caps is collecting analytics to determine. And shit, how you saw that one? Was that Patrick Mahomes? I don't know that he had a Guardian cap, but he had one of those new ones with all the holes in it. That helmet shattered during a play. I don't know if you happened to catch that
I did
last year,
not
and
see that.
maybe there were more occasions of it. I don't know if you're in front of a computer to type in Mahomes smashed helmet or like a shattered helmet, but they're trying all these things to add space in between to absorb the concussion. Because brain injuries, brain bruises is essentially what they are. It's no joke. And yeah, Junior Seau, all the depression, it changes the brain chemistry. Um, People tend to get more violent. Research. And a lot of players suffer. A lot of players have had a lot of concussions. It's hard to play the game and not get your bell rung a couple of times. Fortunately, when I played, I don't recall having a really bad episode like that. Probably had my bell rung a little bit, but not to a point where I knew. Let me put it this way: I knew the difference when I was playing a game of softball out in Los Angeles with my buddies on the Sotheby's team, and there was a line drive. I was playing third base. There was a runner on third, had a lead, and they were kind of creeping off, going toward home, kind of getting it set up. The ball was smashed, grabbed the line drive. The runner on third took a couple steps home and went, oh crap, turned around, took 3 steps toward third base and dove. I saw them diving. I dove for the bag, and this person landed on my head. And I experienced something that was new to me. I had played years and years and years of football, never had a concussion like moment like I did right there. So I knew it was different than just getting your bell rung. But yeah, I mean the NFL, they have a printing machine of cash, Jason. They run a printing machine. They don't want to screw it up with lawsuits. They don't want to see their superstars become vegetables. You want to get rich in that gladiator arena, but there is going to be damage. It's not for the faint of heart. So I don't know. I don't know about the concussions. I don't know about you know the direct correlation, and because some people say it's chicken versus the egg. Well, it's probably just more violent people tend to gravitate toward football instead of, well, the more people have concussions, the more violent they get. It's like, I don't know that they're causal. One causes the other per se, but I get where the NFL is coming from, trying to reduce injuries. I do. But then they do stupid shit like trying to mess with the kickoff so much that it's an irrelevant play. Um, Let me ask you my question about the kickoff. They can't get the kickoff right. They just can't. It's touchback after touchback. What if you just got rid of the kicker? You put the return guy underneath the goalpost. You set people up at whatever yard line you want them to start at, and you blow the whistle, and the play starts when the runner starts. And it's just catch the guy with the ball, go. I miss those Josh Cribbs take it to the house moments. We're just not seeing them like we used to.
Exactly. I miss those as well too. But with the new kickoff rule, it literally is like a 22-man game of Red Rover.
Red Rover, Red Rover. Who is the Browns return guy? I don't even know.
Man, to be honest with you, I don't even know who it's going to be this season. Last year it was everybody.
Kind of like our left tackle, kind of like our quarterback, kind of
Yeah.
like running back. Oh, kind of like our whole fucking team. It seems like.
All right, let's talk about the blindside tackle. Let's talk about it.
I met his mother at the game last year.
Okay. That's as much as you got to say about him?
Yep.
Okay.
And
Moving on.
well, he's put on a lot of weight, huh? Like he's having some problems with those knees. She's like, no, we got that under control. I'm like, yeah, I want to see your boy kill it for the Browns for a long time. We got to get him healthy. We got to get him healthy. I'm rooting for him. Go Buckeyes. DeJuan
Yeah.
Jones. I don't know that you can count on him. I don't know that you can ever count on anybody who's damn near 7 feet tall. It's just your body breaks down in different ways.
Yeah. All right. So, since you established the whole Jones thing, I was excited when we drafted him, man. He's a big boy. Big boy. But
6'8",
when I,
6'7".
yeah, he's 6'7", 6'8". Massive man, dude. My whole body's probably the size of his thigh, maybe even his forearm. Um, so moving on, we're not getting a quarterback at number 2 unless we take Sanders, because I really want Cam Ward. He's the only quarterback that's NFL ready right now, and the Titans are going to move. They're going to pick him. I'm really thinking Will Howard. He's a Cleveland boy. He's a homer.
Okay, hold on. Pause on Will Howard. You're tossing a lot of things out there. Cam Ward and the Titans. Just
Yeah,
pause on that, and then we'll get to Howard.
let's go.
Why couldn't we offer Tennessee?
Offer Tennessee ice because you're frozen.
don't know why it's doing that. Let me try to close that and that and that and that.
Are you traveling long distance? Because it seems like you're hitting bad signals.
Well, I think there's you got me now, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're here.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of bouncing in between. I've never really used Restream this way. I've been a guest on my mobile through Restream, but I've never actually done a show. And now it's like
Restream's,
closing my.
Restream's awesome. I use it.
What do you use it for?
My streaming.
Your,
You can multi-stream on
yeah,
Restream.
yeah, I'm a fan. I
Huge
do like
fan.
it. But why couldn't we trade up to number one? We have the number two. We have the. Do you think Tennessee's that sold on their pick?
Um, I am about 80% sure they want Cam Ward.
All right, so 80%. What's the least likely 20% idea that you have of what you could see Tennessee maybe doing?
Tennessee's going to want the number 2 this year and the number 1 next year, and probably a player. They're asking for our number 1 pick. They want a number 1 pick to come off the first spot. Cleveland couldn't tank like them.
Another number one pick just to move one spot.
Yeah, Tennessee's not playing, man. And obviously, look who's in Tennessee and look who's right behind Tennessee.
We're there for a reason,
I get it.
and the reason is no quarterback.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: do you think Tom Brady was worth taking a flyer on in maybe the 5th round?
If we knew who Tom Brady was this day, yes.
We don't.
Nobody knew who Tom Brady was coming into the draft. They only knew his
So,
games up north.
so couldn't Will Howard be Tom Brady? Why not overdraft him at number 2 if he's the best? Why not overdraft someone
So
that
you're going to
has
tell
the
me
intangible?
a top 6 quarterback in the NFL draft, in the 2025 NFL draft, you are going Will Howard at number 2 over Jackson Dart at number 2?
I'm asking what if. In my group in the unhappy hour, I get demolished by the Baker haters that always say, Baker's never even been to a Super Bowl. He's trash. I said, yeah, neither has Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Yeah, well, that's different because I just want to bust your balls and Baker's balls. I'm like, that's the worst argument ever. Yeah, but he's not a winner. The only
Terrible argument.
winners win, and the only point is winning. And it's a team game with 22 people out there and special teams and the kicking game. And you know what? It's all on Baker Mayfield. He's bum. I said, all right, how about Will Howard? He's the only championship quarterback from last year. It's an easy take, right? I can't believe you'd want to take Will Howard. All he does is win. No, they don't say that. They have other complaints about him. I'm like, so what is it? I can't make sense of the hate from
Hey,
Baker,
Brian,
from every quarterback out there.
here's a problem, man. Obviously, I'm a diehard Browns fan. We had a lot of
Yeah.
in-person conversations about the Cleveland sports teams in general. And, yes, the Baker Mayfield that spews vomit out of your mouth on a daily basis on the TNAM sports. Um, it's like, okay, let's get past this Baker thing. But I have no argument of Baker not going to a Super Bowl. I have no argument of Allen not being a Super Bowl, Jackson not being in the Super Bowl. These are top tier caliber quarterbacks, right? Baker's
Yeah.
still in that category with these gentlemen
Yes.
because they never won championships.
And he's a top 12 guy. He can have weeks where he's number 6. He can have weeks where he's number 16. But he's somewhere close to top 10, top 12.
Yeah.
That's top third in the NFL. Like that was plenty to build on. We had enough other holes. We didn't need to mess around with the Watson thing. But whatever. We're not focused on that. But what I'm saying is, what if the winner, Will Howard, he beat 6 of the top 8 teams en route to getting a championship last year. That's not just closing your eyes and chucking it up to Jeremiah Smith. That is someone that knew how to get it done and beat all of the biggest, baddest teams on the biggest, baddest stage. Why not draft him? Why not overdraft him at 2 and say, I don't think he's ready right now as much as Cam Ward. Maybe Cam Ward has a stronger arm. Maybe Shador has a higher completion percentage, but I just don't get it. Will Howard beat everybody he needed to beat except Michigan, of course. We do know that. But I think Will Howard has what it takes. Why not overdraft him at 2 if he could solve the problem? You think Jackson Dart's a better, higher ceiling, more
I
finished
really,
product? You like Jackson better?
I'm just recently seeing Jackson's name thrown around there. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never watched any of his games, never seen any of his highlights. I might brush myself up on Jackson Dart later on today. But at the end of the day, I know how Will Howard can play. And then since we're on the topic about Will Howard and all these Buckeye haters out there that we need an extended playoff to win the championship, get out of here. Inaugural championships, 14, inaugural extended play, 2024, baby. Get the hell out of here. Go back to what you know and learn college football.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I've heard different reasons why the Michigan game happened. I heard, obviously Chip Kelly went away from throwing it deep, and there was nothing they could do to stop that, which was ridiculous. I don't know what. I think they said Will Howard got banged up, like something was off the shoulder, and he couldn't go push the ball downfield. I don't know exactly, but aside from that hiccup, there we watched the Buckeyes just beat every one of the most important teams this year. This was the hardest path ever to a championship, and we
Yeah.
did it. So I'm just saying, yeah. We heard a lot of Jalen Milroe, the Alabama quarterback. That was the topic du jour in Cleveland sports for maybe about a month or two. Now it's Jackson Dart. We're definitely hearing that. We had sort of settled on Shador being the pick. Now we're settled in on Hunter being the pick. But now it's just, a couple days away. Nobody has any clue how this is going to shake out. I would not be surprised to see the Browns go up and grab Cam Ward if they've determined he's the guy. Maybe they have a deal in place and says, hey, Tennessee, try to shop a better offer. But if you can't get a better offer than the number 2 pick, this player and these package of other picks, or whatever that looks like, we'll trade it to you on draft day. But we'll need to know by Wednesday. Like, we have no idea what's about to happen, but we do know this. In the game of general managing, Andrew Berry is an active player. There is no doubt about it. Andrew Berry makes trades. He signs people. He actually goes out and makes big, bold moves, sometimes pretty bold, stupid moves. But I think we could be players in this. Everyone that's saying, yeah, let's draft Will Howard at 33, he will be gone at 33. Will Howard will not be available at 33. Jason, you may disagree with that, but I think Will Howard is absolutely drafted by number 32. Do you think that's a reasonable guess because everyone overdrafts the position? Or do you think that he'll definitely be there? Like, just take it easy, take best available player at 2. Do you
I
think
can't
we need to
complete
trade back into the 30s, or like what? What do you think?
I can't completely disagree with you. I think Will Howard is a first round caliber quarterback, but you have all these other quarterbacks that are being hyped up in the top 10.
Yeah,
They're not looking at Will Howard, just like they didn't look at Tom Brady. If we're going to go back to that, they didn't look at Tom Brady. Um, I think Will Howard can be a first round quarterback in the NFL. Is he NFL ready in the first round as of right now? No, he's not. But he could sit behind somebody like Joe Flacco for a season or two. A veteran Super Bowl winning quarterback, Joe Flacco, even though he throws, wacko for Flacco, he throws interceptions. What quarterback doesn't throw interceptions, right?
yeah.
I'm not blaming our entire tank against the Texans in the playoffs on Joe Flacco. That's an entire team loss right there. So, do I think Will Howard can sit behind Joe Flacco and learn Joe Flacco play? Because I'm going to tell you right now, Will Howard, in my personal opinion, Brian, and you could disagree with me, he is Ben Roethlisberger type caliber player.
Dude, he's Josh Allen. He's Ben Roethlisberger. He's 6'4", 230. He's
Yeah,
exactly what everyone says. We need someone that can play Ohio football. We'll draft a fucking Buckeye. He's right in your backyard. You let Ben Roethlisberger go.
and
He was
Cleveland
playing at
doesn't
Miami
draft.
right down the road.
Cleveland does not draft Buckeye quarterbacks. Look, we had Pryor, but he was a receiver in Cleveland. He wasn't drafted to Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah, good point. I agree that Jackson Dart is probably the hot name right now. Milrow probably fell off a little bit. There's a couple of other people out there that people are going to be taking swings. Um, I, I just want Will Howard to be the quarterback for the Browns. Um, I would love to have somebody redshirt him. If you had a Flacco that could show you the system, but I think he can play and succeed in the system that Stefanski runs. But make no mistake about it, this is going to be the make or break relaunch, reboot. This is your last chance, guys. I don't see Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski long for Cleveland if they can't turn it around and get back on track with a strong draft and just competitiveness, because you can say maybe Jimmy Haslam was involved a little too much in the Deshaun Watson trade. And maybe Jimmy said, listen, guys, I understand you're actually even a little reticent. You're a little reluctant to pull the trigger on Watson at that dollar amount. He's been out for a year. I know there's concerns. I'm all in on him. If you guys do this, I won't hold you accountable for the failures that happen if this trade blows up in our faces. That's literally the only reason, the only theoretical conversation that I could imagine that happened in the Browns organization to keep those clowns from keeping from being fired. I thought they earned the right to be fired last year, but I don't think they have any more get out of jail free cards. It has to turn the Cleveland Browns around now with the Stefanski Berry agenda, with their plan, with the number 2 pick. I think this is make or break for them. Am I putting too much emphasis on that, or do you
No, not
also
at
agree
all.
that they earned the right to be fired last year, and it's
They
sort of
they
incomprehensible why give them the keys again after crashing the car?
let's be real. Stefanski should have been let go midseason.
He lost the locker room.
He did. Totally. I mean, he did. And
He lost Myles Garrett.
honestly, like the last 2 seasons, like you can't go from coach of the year twice to 2 losing seasons. You can't do it.
He's been carried by Baker, and he was carried by Flacco. Now, obviously, not just Flacco. The whole team did play better. But he's been the beneficiary of some players dragging him to some successes that maybe he didn't quite deserve all the credit for. I think that's a
Yeah.
fair way to say it, maybe.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not taking anything away from the 2020 run, Brian. That was something that we're waiting for pretty much our lifetime to experience a playoff run like that. And, but I'm not taking anything away from his coach of the year in 2020. But the season where he won coach of the year in 2020, was it 2022? 2023.
3. He
2023 when
earned
he won.
23. He earned 23. All the injuries at quarterback, all the injuries on the line. I give him credit. He
Yeah.
cobbled together, made something work with bits and pieces. It was very clever. It was very well done. The system maintained, but it fell to shit this year, so it's not really what it was all cracked up to be. He got a little lucky on his second coach of the year, I think.
And that was actually even with all the injuries, minus all the injuries, that was a really fun season to watch.
Yes, it was. It absolutely was. I was at that Jets game. Man, was that fun.
All right, so I'm not sure how much time you have left, man, but let's talk about these top 5 quarterback prospects that Cleveland could potentially grab at number 2. Top 5, just the top 5 quarterback prospects, okay? And I'm going to go in the rankings in the top 5 before I give any names. The rankings of overall prospects here. We got 3, 28, 50, 94, and 99 overall prospects. They're top 5 quarterbacks, right? Of course, Cam Ward is a number 3 top prospect overall in the NFL draft. But everybody's thinking he's going number 1 overall. Why is that?
Because Will Levis hasn't panned out for Tennessee.
That's fair.
That's a big component to
it. It's huge component. You have Shador Sanders. He's a 28th overall prospect and then the number 2 overall prospect quarterback, though.
Shadur, who do you compare Shadur Sanders to? Not a lot, not
You can't.
super impressive arm strength. Do you compare him to a game manager like uh, I had some comps in my head. Now I'm struggling to think of them. But if he's a high percentage, low home run hitting guy, I've heard it described this way. Look, everyone gets enamored with the quarterback that can chuck it 65 yards downfield. Like, we all love seeing that. We all love it. But let's face it, 95% of the game is played 15 yards in front of you. You're just trying to get a first down. You're just trying to go first down to first down. And they say that Shadur has proven what you need to see to trust that he can move the stick. If the stick's moving, you're going to get your points. So, I don't see as much flash and upside and, oh my gosh, moments out of Shadur. But what a lot of scouts are saying, he's going to be a consistent player for you. If you put the pieces around him to win, he can get you your wins. Kind of like Baker Mayfield. Like, people say, oh, he's not this, he's not that. I go, he's plenty that. 4,000 yards, 45 touchdowns. Like, he's plenty flash. But, they say, oh, he's not flashy enough. I don't even know what that means. But Shadur, he doesn't scream superstar. But in the same way, I think Baker Mayfield, maybe they could both get you to a championship if you have the right team around him. How do you view Shadur?
I mean, I view Shador as primetime son.
You can't get past the father component. Like,
I can't.
But what about his game? What about his game?
It's coming up right now. Honestly, it's coming up right now on the I believe it's FanDuel right here on the NFL.com. They're talking about Shador could drop to New York, the New York Jets.
Oh, the Jets. Okay.
Yeah, and
I
the
mean,
Giants.
they only have Justin Fields.
Yeah,
That's definitely an open competition over there. But then I've also heard it where Shadur goes past the Giants, and he falls even further. And at what point can the Browns jump back in? I'm
is
sure
this
they
a
have the trade scenarios ready. Like, if he drops to 15, do you jump in and just try to grab him? Team
yeah?
him up with Travis Hunter?
Me? Do we have
I
the
mean, that would
capital?
be kind of sick.
Do we have the capital in Cleveland though? Is Moneyball playing the right thing to bring that capital back in?
Look, I give Andrew Berry carte blanche this year. Do whatever you feel to your heart's content, because, brother, you are on the chopping block. Your seat is hotter than any seat this side of hell. You, brother, do whatever you think is gonna get us that championship. Because short of that Super Bowl, that's the goal. And I know it's like, well, all we need in Cleveland, we just want to be competitive. Bullshit. We don't want the Cavaliers to make the playoffs. We want to win the damn championship. I want the first trophy minus LeBron James. I want it to be about the team and not that one player. I am so excited to compete for a championship. I don't want to be middle of the road. I don't want to be the second wild card team perpetually. I want to win. And if what they see is a situation where they can't get a free agent that makes sense, they might not be able to get someone that's absolutely NFL ready right now. But when are they ever going to draft number 2 again? If Shadur Sanders, they have graded out as the best opportunity they're going to have to put a product on the field that can be exciting like Jaden Daniels, that can be exciting and competitive, or at least you get the promise for the future like Caleb Williams, or pick your youthful quarterback and insert them there. They have to take whoever they think is going to get them closest to competing as soon as possible. Myles Garrett signed, but he's not happy about it. He definitely wants to win, and he wants to win in Cleveland. But I could see him taking Shadur Sanders. I could see him taking him at 2 and worried that it's not going to happen. But whatever they decide, I fully embrace. I'm actually in the position, Jason, I'm not super sold on any of these guys. I am sold on giving Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. They're a package deal. They are leaving together if they can't get it done. I have no patience for either of them. So do whatever they determine is best. That's what's in my
It's
heart. I have such a calm comfort about this process right now. I'm just letting it all play out because it's all about Barry and Stefanski finally getting to put their full stamp on the team. No more excuses, and that's exciting to me.
I couldn't agree more with you, Brian. I could not.
Do you have positive vibes about their ability to get it done? If you had $100 to place a free bet, are they able to get it done, or is it inevitably going to tank? $100 free bet, you got to place it one way or the other. Your gut instinct, can they turn it around, or is this just eventually doomed? Let's get on with it.
So let's rewind here. So we know why the Haslams are doing what they're doing. Cleveland has fired coach after season after season, right?
Yes,
This
yes.
is Stefanski's fifth season coming up.
Six. He got hired in
Sixth,
2019, 18.
but he had a full season. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
What year was it?
Um,
18? Did he come in, or was it 19?
let's look up this,
I
man,
remember the
because
I remember the press conference when I was driving across the country, and I remember him saying, because I had two cats with me, I was moving, 2018 or 2019, probably 2019, I think. Yeah, I remember the press
no,
conference, and he was talking
he's
about
been a head
analytics.
coach. He's only been a head coach since 2020 to now.
2020.
Yeah, that was his first season when he went to the playoffs.
The COVID year.
Yes.
All right.
They allowed 6,000 fans in the stadium at one time.
You know what? Underrated opinion here. I think Baker Mayfield lost some of the crowd, some of the fans, because they didn't get to go to those games, those playoff games, and build those core memories with their family and their friends. If Baker Mayfield was able to be in the playoffs, that playoff run, 80,000 people watching win number 6, 7, 8, not like playoff football in Cleveland, knowing that you're a playoff team, I think that whole season the fans were watching at home, and yeah, you got the ability to nitpick every play and every mistake, every bad throw, and but 80,000 people missed out on all of those games and all of those wins. And I think part of that played a role in the overall grading system of the fan base that kind of pushed Baker Mayfield right into Tampa, where he's won 2 straight divisional championships.
Yeah.
So it's interesting in hindsight. But yeah, so Kevin Stefanski, he's hot, he's cold, he's yes and he's no. He's Katy Perry, essentially. He's the Katy Perry of NFL coaches. You know what? Kevin Stefanski is going to be on Blue Origin 2. They're only going to send up guys that look like him. It's going to be him, Kevin Love, a few other people. And instead of all lady crew, it's going to be all people that resemble a Kevin Stefanski cousin. Maybe John Stamos, insert attractive celebrity figure here. But no, I'm not sold on Kevin Stefanski. I think he sabotaged Baker intentionally, was actually actively trying to get him hurt in that game, specifically against Schittsburg, the last game of the year. And I think a competent coach and general manager would have sat Baker Mayfield and said, kid, I appreciate your moxie. I understand you're trying to play and you're sort of forcing it through and you're doing okay, but we need better than okay here. You can't go downfield like you used to. We're shutting you down. We recommend you get your surgery immediately to get healthy and get your ass back in camp to go take this division title. They didn't do that to Baker, and I think they had every right to do that. And I blame Stefanski and Barry for how half of that Baker situation fumbled. You had to protect the player from himself in that situation, and
Yeah, they left
unfortunately,
him
they
on an
didn't do that.
island. They left him on an
High
island,
and dry.
especially on the Christmas game against Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay Christmas game, and I think they wanted Baker to look as bad as possible so that they could move on from someone they didn't draft, someone they didn't particularly want anymore. But they should have found a way to make it work because the guy can make the throws. He can make things happen. And I think that was the hubris, that was the ego of Stefanski and Barry getting in the way of a championship run with a limited championship window, with a bunch of players in their prime coming into their prime. I blame them for setting us back 3 years with that. But that being said, I don't know who I want at number 2. I don't know what I'm going to cheer for. What I'll be like, oh man, what if we trade back? What if we trade back and accumulate picks? Would you be upset about that? I know that was the calling card of, what was that, Ray Farmer? I'm trying to think back to 20, Justin Gilbert.
That was typical Ray Farmer draft. Collecting draft capital. I don't see us getting any extra number 1 picks. We might accumulate a second rounder, another second rounder. But you don't fall farther than 5. You can't. Not in Cleveland's eyes. You can't do that, because if you go farther than 5, who are you picking up past 5? That's going to help your team.
Yeah. And you also look at it, are there any Hall of Fame potential players in this draft? Especially when you're picking that high, you don't get a chance to add a Hall of Famer to your team every day. I've heard that Abdul Carter is the closest thing to a sure thing in the draft. I don't think the ceiling is as high as for Cam Ward as it is for Abdul Carter, perhaps. At least that's what the scouts were saying 2 months ago. I don't know if they're clamoring to say that about Shadur Sanders.
Let's just be honest, though.
Gianti.
When you go into any draft, do you actually think there's a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in that draft, in any draft? You don't know what these guys are going to do in the NFL. Again, look at Tom Brady. 199? Is that what his pick was?
I believe so.
You just can't see it. I mean, yes, you have people like Flacco that got drafted by Baltimore. You got people like Schittsburg that drafted Big Ben. Did we know there were going to be Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks in that NFL draft? As a viewer, as a fan, Brian.
Yeah, no. You never know. You never know. But that's where it comes down to your team, your brain trust. I think Kevin Costner in Draft Day. All of your analytics people, you've watched all the film, you're trying to get to know the player. Do the players rally around Baker or not? I shared a video of him, just being entertaining, and some of the comment, oh, I hate this guy. It's like his teammates love him wherever he goes. I've never bought the Baker lost the locker room thing, but I only bring it up because on draft day, that was part of the plot. The guy that they were supposed to pick, he didn't have the admiration of his teammates. So he's not the leader that you'd want to draft. You want a guy that eats, sleeps, and breathes football, and that your teammates love, that they'll go to battle for, they'll go to war for. They actually say that about Travis Hunter. The guy just loves the game of football. He eats, sleeps, and breathes it. He's not getting into trouble. He just loves playing football. And that's maybe the best thing I've ever heard about a player to potentially draft. I'm like, all right, well, if that's what they've determined Travis Hunter to be, the Heisman winner, you don't accidentally win a Heisman, whether it's Baker or Hunter. Take him at 2. Cool. I'm fine honestly, with whatever they do. I really am. If they if they slide back and take Jackson Dart, if they trade 33 and their second round pick next year to move up to 22 and take Jalen Milroe, I don't care who as long as they give me a running back, a quarterback. I need a running back and a quarterback in the top 3 rounds, period. I have to have that because we need to retool our offense so much with the injuries and the situation we're in. Have to have a quarterback, running back in the first 3 rounds. I'll give them a wild card swing on number 2 if they get me quarterback and running back at their next 2 picks. I don't care, but we have to address that. We are so deficient of playmakers there.
Let's address running backs while we're at it. Back to it. Like, I wouldn't mind. Don't get me wrong. I like Travis Hunter. I love how he plays football, both sides of the ball. I'm absolutely concerned about the injuries. You're drafting one player that can play both sides of the ball, and I'm worrying about the injuries. How are you going to fill that gap?
All right, I think you stopped. I couldn't hear. How are you going to fill that gap? How do you mean fill that gap?
How are you going to fill that gap if Travis Hunter gets hurt? Okay, we got Denzel Ward. He's filling in for Denzel now. What if he gets hurt? Where's our wide receiver?
Well, Cedric Tillman, minus his concussion, he was having a good season until he got injured.
Again, all the injuries. I go back to the training staff. There's no reason why I have so many injuries.
So what is going on with the training staff? What is the story? You remember the Cleveland Browns were notorious for staph infections.
They were.
That was Joe Juravicious. That was LaCharles Bentley. That was that whole Braylon Edwards, Kellen Winslow era. Competitive teams, but man, their training facilities, people were getting hurt. And you keep going back to, did we change our training staff by chance? Did we change anything about that component? Why did we have so many injuries the past couple of years?
That's a good question, man. I do know they still have they have the same strength and conditioning coaches, but their training staff, like, why are they? Are the strength and conditioning coaches not conditioning them enough? Are they allowing them to just go out there? Are the coaches not teaching them how to tackle properly? You have these terrible tackles that we've seen in the past where you get injured.
There's also collective bargaining concerns because they've been able to negotiate their contracts so much. What you've seen is less and less football being played prior to the season starting. They got rid of an entire preseason game.
Right.
They said, well, we're going to add a regular season game to it. And also it's like, all right, 2-a-days and spring camp. There's a million reasons to get out there and 7-on-7 drills and mix it up. But the players union kept negotiating, hey, don't overwork us. Every play we could get injured. We don't want to play too much football. But then you're like, well, it's a muscle. If you don't use it, it's going to atrophy. So if sometimes it's that age-old question of rest versus rust. And I think we've seen a couple of pretty prime examples lately. I think college football as well. Didn't both of the number one teams that got a bye, didn't they both lose?
They both lost.
I think that was the most recent example. Who were the number one teams I'm thinking of that lost it was the first round, right?
It was.
Well, I guess Oregon lost to us. Was that week number 1? But that was rest versus rust. I think you're onto something, but it might be league wide. I'd be curious to have the analytics gurus kind of take a look at how many reported injuries, how many games played, how many preseason games, how many snaps prior to the new collective bargaining agreement changing, tackling drills or live scrimmages during practices.
Yeah.
Because I feel like part of it is you get your muscle memory. Whoa, that guy's in my lane. What is going on here? Okay, I avoided death. Let me get past him so that doesn't happen again.
Is everything go good?
Yeah. Now that I'm past that guy, what the hell, man? Got to stay alert. It's like my dad always told me. It's like, you obviously want to pay attention to what you're doing when you're driving, but it's not about that. You got to pay attention to everybody else around you and assume that they're going to do the dumbest possible shit you could imagine.
Right.
Assume that the other driver is going to do the dumbest possible thing. And yeah, unfortunately in Cleveland, we have to assume that the Browns brain trust is going to draft the dumbest possible way. But we've had plenty of hits. Nick Chubb was a great pick. Myles Garrett was a great pick. I stand by Baker Mayfield being a great pick. I think the jury's still out. He may be the best among that class. We'll see. But you're saying maybe we should draft another cornerback if we take Travis Hunter because he's not going to play as often? Do you think that's a position of need you'd like to see addressed? Do you have positions of needs more than players this year? What do you want to see in the first 3 picks? I said quarterback, running back, and wild card, whatever you want. That's what I want to see to totally retool that.
I have to agree with those top 3. Let's talk about running backs, man. Do you take Henderson or Judkins?
Love them. Love them.
I
Both
know
of them.
we're hometown heroes here, man, and we're gonna go Buckeye Nation all the way. But at the end of the day, we can't be biased. But they are huge, huge running backs, and they're both NFL ready. One's ground and
Let
pound, and
me,
one can hit the hole.
yep. And let me offer the retort from the haters in the unhappy hour. I will just tell these people, guess what? Only two running backs in all of college football won a national championship. And all that matters is national championships. So take your Boise State running back and shove them where the sun don't shine, because only two running backs got a national championship for J.D. Vance to drop. And that is Judkins and Henderson. Out of the two, who would you pick?
Hmm.
I
I
think either of them could have been a number one bell cow if that was the system they were running. They didn't need to, they didn't have to, and I could see wherever they go in the NFL being one of those 85% of the plays a game, just playing most of it, because their fundamentals are there. They can block. They've been coached by Ohio State. They know how to play and block. If you can block, you can stay in on third down. And we've seen them just annihilate people blocking back there. But if you had to pick one, Judkins, Henderson, who do you take and why?
I would take Judkins over Henderson just because Henderson gets winded on long rushes. You see him slow down in college playoffs. He's dashing 80 yards, and by the time he gets to the 15, he's slowing down. Judkins, he's hitting that hole and he's gone.
But brother, if you're going 80 yards, you've done your job. Take a play off. I'll call a timeout. Man,
Bruh,
I don't give a
score that
shit.
touchdown. Score that touchdown.
All right. Okay. All right. So you're saying Travion Henderson is the blue balls of running backs? They'll get you
I mean,
close and just not.
well, he's not dropping the ball at the goal line. I wouldn't say all that. Okay. Um, he gets to the goal line. He crosses it with his hands. Henderson's like I love the kid, man. He is very talented at running back. Same with with Judkins. But at the end of the day, you need somebody that's going to have the caliber of speed. He has the strength. Judkins can catch out of the backfield. He can block. Henderson can block better than Judkins, but at the end of the day, they're both good caliber running backs, and I wouldn't mind seeing either one of them. But if I had to draft a running back out of between the both of those, it would be Judkins if they were both available.
And remind me, do I remember it correctly that maybe Henderson is a little bit more straight laced and quiet, and Judkins is a little bit more hood, a little more flashy, a little.
Yeah, you could compare Henderson to Chubb.
And who do you compare Judkins to? Is he a little hood? Does he have a little party tendencies or trouble tendencies?
I wouldn't
I'm
say
trying to remember if there's something
I,
of a concern there.
I wouldn't worry about his past. Obviously, we didn't worry about Baker's past. We didn't worry about Johnny Manziel's past. So let's not worry about the past when it comes to the NFL. If they're NFL ready and they know what they got to do to make their paychecks and get on the field every given Sunday, then I wouldn't look at their past of any kind of being in trouble. Judkins reminds me of a man. I don't even know who I can compare him to in the
I
past.
know. I'd probably want to see more of a body of work because, like I said earlier, they weren't bell cow backs. They
Yeah,
they split their time, so we got to see half the amount of big plays from them, and on top of it, we didn't see long sustained drives sometimes because we were so 45 yards downfield to a Buka touchdown. Like we saw far fewer plays, so I
right.
couldn't even say I fully have an understanding of what their career trajectory could pan out as. Like, is it more Curtis Martin? Is it more Eddie George? Is it like I'm just trying to like thinking of different styles of backs. I'm not entirely certain. I like both of them. I do. Obviously, Gianti. Um, do you have these three as your top three backs, or do you have anyone else on the list that stands out? Like, would you
What?
take Gianti
Quinshon,
over both of
Travion, and
these?
Aston? I'm gonna be honest with you, man. You got Boise State here. They got smacked. They got absolutely clapped by Penn State. You were supposed to
Yeah.
have one of the best teams in that playoff run. Just like Tennessee, you know. Um, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on Boise State players. Period. We got
Okay.
one Boise State player that's actually made it as a quarterback, right? Is that no that not only nope, that's not even right.
Yeah, you have access to Grok. Do you use Grok for your search engine?
I do not.
I recommend it highly. It's very good. Google is not good. I've had a lot of hard times searching things, but yeah, I would, if I was in front of Grok, I would ask NFL quarterbacks from Boise State. I often forget what college a lot of these NFL stars played at. Quite often, I'll completely forget.
That's who it was. Kellen Moore.
That is who I was saying, but he's not like a star.
Yeah, but he was like the last one that actually played in the NFL.
So you're not sold on him. Is there any other back in the league in college football you like ahead of the two Buckeye backs?
I'm gonna be honest with you, probably not, man. I'm a biased homer.
What if we trade back a little bit and take Ibuka and Jackson Dart? We trade back. We take Ibuka and Will Howard instead of just taking Travis Hunter. What if trading back allows us to get a number 10 player, a number 15 player, a number 7, and a number 13? You're like, okay, now we got a Buka. Okay, now we got a tackle. We got an offensive tackle. Nobody's even mentioned that. Kablamo. We fixed
All
our
right,
line and we added another. Like who knows? Who
who we
knows?
trade?
I love that it's. Huh?
I mean, we
Who do we
trade back
trade
in the
with?
top 10. Who are you trading with in the top 10?
The Raiders with new owner Tom Brady want to make a splash. They would love to get a top quarterback that, look, maybe you don't love Shadur. Maybe you don't want to take Jackson Dart too high. But if you're Tom Brady and you see what you like and you want to have the chance to coach him up, man, you'll trade some draft capital to move up and see if you can start developing your guy immediately. The Giants and the Raiders are huge players at quarterback. Even if Ward is gone at 1, so what? What you might have is I really do think the Raiders and look, they did go out and get Geno Smith. Okay, cool. They got him for what, a 2-3 year deal? That's average. That's pedestrian money for an average player to hold down the fort. He knows Pete Carroll's system. He's going to be able to run it nice and smooth and get that ball slinging around the field. You're going to need a number 2 quarterback to sit and learn, hopefully, if all goes well, and someone who can step in and sling it if he doesn't. So I think the Raiders are huge players
Okay,
at
so
number 2. So we could slide back a few and then maybe collect an offensive tackle, which would make me very happy. And then we'd have the draft capital again to maybe jump up and get someone at 20. You get your Jackson Dart, your Will Howard, your maybe Shadur's off the board. All right, well, maybe we don't grade these other quarterbacks at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as all that different. Maybe Jalen Milroe has what it takes. We'll take him at 26. That's fine. I don't know. I'm open to it. I'm kind of like sort of excited. I'm not claiming like I have all the answers here. And I guess that makes me a little more calm than I usually am.
yeah.
But I would be open to a trade back. I really would, because we have so many problems right now. I don't think one thing fixes where we're at.
I
The
mean,
Nick
we
Chubb
trade back to
injury
6.
hurts.
We trade back to 6. I mean, the stuff that we
Who's at
need is
6? You have
crazy.
the Raiders at 6.
Yeah, the Raiders are at 6. You know, the Raiders need a wide receiver and a corner.
Well, here's the thing. Don't we have a couple players that could be included on some draft day trades as well?
We
There's a
do.
couple of names that keep popping up.
Greg Newsom's
Maybe
one of them.
Wyatt Teller,
Wyatt Teller's
Newsome,
one.
Greg
Greg Newsom.
Newsome, because they're looking. It's a combination of age, cap hit. You know, we've I guess, done a good job navigating this $230 million monstrosity. But we still have to navigate it. Like, we're not done. And the more we can do to shift our financial books, the better. So I think we have draft capital other than just our draft picks. We might be able to move some of these other players, but of course, then it opens the. But I think we've moved on from some of these players anyway. I think they're ready to kind of make a change with some of this stuff. I loved Wyatt Teller in his prime.
I mean, if you look
I
at
don't
it,
know.
if you trade number 1 and number 6 to the Raiders have the
Yep.
37th overall. We already have the 33 overall. Let's take your second round pick also.
Take a quarterback there.
We got 33 and 37. We can use one of those to get back in the first round.
Bundle both of those.
Would you bundle both? Because you could take a running back in the second round, or you could take a tight end in the second round. How long is David Njoku going to last in Cleveland? How long is he's getting up there, man?
Hey, did you see Njoku shaking hands and doing a selfie with President Trump?
I did see that.
Yeah. Here's a pro tip, something to keep your eye on. I will make I'll make a prediction. The Cleveland Browns are going to draft the Bowling Green Falcon tight end.
Bannon?
3rd round, 4th round.
They're going to take Harold Fannin?
Yeah. I think the number 2 tight end position has been something of a need. They're really high on the kid. They met with him recently. I read an article about them meeting with him and how a backup, or
No,
maybe
this is
don't
not
view
just
him as a backup.
This isn't another biased pick from you, is it?
No, it's based on a report and based on the fact that the Browns met with him, and that I was reading through like why it actually makes a lot of sense. And it's talking about the age of Njoku, his price of contract, and the fact that they might be able to use this kid in a different way. Maybe he could be a flank back. You've seen it before where players come in and they kind of reinvent their position. You don't have to view him as like the number 2 tight end. You could view him as a number 3 receiver who plays tight end too.
Yeah.
Like there's ways to make hybrid players. But I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot from Andrew Berry that seems like they're pretty high on Hunter. If I had to place a $100 bet for free, but I had to place it now, I'd say the Browns draft Hunter. Who do you think we take it to?
I think we're
$100
taking
bet.
Travis Hunter. We're going to take Travis
All right,
Hunter number 2.
we're in agreement. Who's at number 3? The Giants are right behind us.
The Giants are sitting at number. Yeah, Giants are number 3. Then you got New England, and then you got Jacksonville, then the Raiders.
All right, New England, Jacksonville Raiders. Would you say Jacksonville is settled in on their quarterback situation?
I mean, they're sold on Travis Lawrence. Come on, man, or Trevor Lawrence, bro. You really just gotta give them the sunshine that he is, man.
Do you
You
think
pancake
that?
eating motherfucker.
Do you think that the Patriots are sold on their new young quarterback?
I don't think
Drake
the Patriots
May?
are ever going to be sold on a quarterback since Tom Brady.
See, I think they're settled in on Drake May. I think they are. I don't think that they're going to be players at quarterback.
That's what they said before, man. Who was the quarterback I knew was going to be a bust for New England? What was his name? He drafted a couple years ago.
Joe Milton?
No.
Oh, Bailey Zappi?
No. Who was that
Oh,
guy?
the other one.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. That's how irrelevant he is. I knew he was going to be a bust.
New England Patriots, quarterback for the New England Patriots.
I got to look this shit up now, man. Past drafts, dude. Jeez. Hold on a second, man.
Not Bailey. We're naming like all the other ones. Jacoby Brissett.
No, but he was a hell of a backup for Cleveland with the 4th and inches.
He was.
The wife was
And
completely sold on him, man, when Case Keenum was hurt.
uh-huh. I contend that if Stefanski would have just stayed with Jacoby Brissett, we would have been a playoff team in Deshaun Watson's first season. But they were so adamant about getting Watson his reps, and he sucked. It cost us a playoff berth that year. I firmly
Yeah, I'm
believe.
gonna be honest with you. That hit to Hollywood was terrible.
Well, yeah, yeah. I can't think of the quarterback.
I'm trying to find him. When did he get drafted? Mac Jones.
There it is, Mac Jones. Jeez, yeah. Mac Jones went to where? I think he's on Jacksonville now? Or
I
no,
think he
he
is a
went
Jaguar
somewhere
now.
else. I don't know. All these players moving around. I'm curious if Aaron Rodgers is going to come back.
You never know. Yeah, he's a Jag now.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder. Aaron Rodgers on the Browns with Flacco backing him up. Aaron
Actually, no,
Rodgers
he's
to
a,
the
he's a
Vikings.
49er. He's a 49er now. He was in Jacksonville.
All right. Well, Brock Purdy's deal isn't done.
Man, let's talk about Brock Purdy, man, Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, you did type that earlier, right?
Yeah. You can't just grab who you think is going to be the best quarterback in round one. We've seen so many busts in round one for everybody over the years.
We have.
So,
We sure have.
you know, I, it's not just Cleveland. That's just the NFL in general, man. It's an everyday thing when it comes to the NFL draft. You are literally taking your money and you're gambling with it.
Yep. Yep. The Giants gambled on it with Danny Dimes, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
I think he's going to fight to be the starter in Indianapolis. I think they're already moving on from Anthony Richardson. He's got a ton of talent, ton of skills, but it's about more than that. It's about a lot of intangible stuff, leadership, taking plays off. He just ran off the field. And injury prone, missed a whole season. It's like quarterbacks don't get a lot of opportunities to come back around again, and that's why it's going to be interesting for the Browns. There's some people out there saying that they're sold on Kenny Pickett being actually the day one starter, able to beat out Joe Flacco and have a career resurgence. They see some stuff that they actually really like about Kenny Pickett. Some of these quarterbacks, they only find their success on their second team, third team. And Baker Mayfield was a good example. Sam Darnold was a good example. Geno Smith was a good example.
I mean, you got two winning quarterbacks now in your QB room.
Oh, geez, yeah. I forgot that Kenny Pickett was the backup in Philadelphia this year. Super Bowl champion QB. That's something that's good energy you want to run around your arena, like in practice. You want that in your facility. High expectations, being
Have
around
Flacco and Pickett both
organizations that
bringing
can,
their rings.
yeah, they damn well better. There should be a whole day that they dedicate to that and tell that story. Absolutely. That's what we're aiming at. All right, so back to the draft. If you're the Giants, do you think that let's just run a mock draft? Giants sitting there at 3. Do you think they go ahead and take Shadur Sanders?
If they think Cleveland's going to take him, they'll try to move up. Because let's be honest with you right now. Let's be honest with everybody out here that's watching us right now. Literally, Andrew Berry is holding his card so close to his chest. We really don't know who he's going to draft. We need a quarterback for the future. We need wide receivers. We need a running back. We need a linebacker. We need a defensive line. We need that tight end that you discussed from Bowling Green. So what is Andrew Berry going to do at number 2? Well, the Giants don't know.
Nobody knows.
And that's
We're taking
one thing I
calls
kind of
from
like about
Tom
AB.
Brady. We're taking calls from Tom Brady and the Las Vegas Raiders, by the way. We're taking calls from Jacksonville. We're taking calls. You don't even know what we have in mind. And so, yeah, you want to create a bidding war, if at all possible.
Man,
Like, who knows what we could acquire?
to be in that war room on Thursday. I don't know, man, but I do know this. Andrew Berry's got to make a splash, and he's got to make a splash soon.
Yeah, this is it. This is his year. He has to do something. And we scored the fewest points in the NFL last year. So, or
I mean,
we were in the top five fewest points in the league, or I forget where we were exactly. It was not good. It was very, very, very bad. And you're not going to win a lot of games in today's NFL without an offense that can put some points on the board.
agreed.
Um, it, Gone are the days of the 7-6 games that defense carries the day. It's like they know that touchdowns are ratings, ratings are dollars, and dollars is the point. So, I kind of like how I wonder if the league secretly put, well, not secretly, but if they colluded to make sure Luka went to LeBron so they could retool that team and give them the LeBron versus Cleveland championship everybody wants to see for the good of the game, for eyeballs, for storylines, for advertising dollars. The NFL very certainly is aiming at flashy plays and scoring. Um, it doesn't do the league any good for Minka Fitzpatrick to get an extra tackle. It really hurts the league to lose Nick Chubb, like forever. Took his career from us.
And it just
Um,
sucks for him too, man.
it does. And I think he'll be back, and I think he'll be a good player. And I think we should take him. We should take him as our. Can we carry 3 running backs on a roster? Would you take Jerome Ford? Would you put him there? Would you sign Nick Chubb as like a third back, and would you draft a back? What do you do with your? Do you like Jerome Ford?
I'm not a Ford fan. He makes one good play a game. Um, the as a former season ticket member, guys, and I just let go of my season tickets this year because they literally went up, and because they're potentially trying to pay for Watson's contract and the new stadium. But besides that, the running joke was his name was Gerald Ford in the stadium.
Gerald
Um,
Ford, because he was so
so
slow.
yes, I take
Gerald
him as a
Ford.
third down back. He'd be a third down back, but he's definitely not. He's not a starter caliber type running back. Do you keep 3 running backs on your roster? Probably, because you're allowed to have an extra dress this year for quarterback.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
Well, they started that last season. An extra dress just in case you remember the 49ers lost all their quarterbacks in the playoffs.
Playoffs.
So you could
Yeah.
keep 3 running backs, but I'm not sold on Ford. Not at all. I mean, personally, I'm not a Ford
But,
guy as it is in general, but
yeah, I'm a Toyota guy now. Would you draft a running back or sign Nick Chubb?
yes,
You would do both and keep Ford.
I would
Well, I
keep
mean,
Ford as a
Ford's
third down
already
back.
here.
I'd keep
Yeah.
Ford as a third down back. He can get your yards. He can get your inches. But you need a young quarterback that's got healthy legs, healthy knees, that can ground and pound, hit the holes like Nick Chubb, and actually not score when you don't need to.
I'll bet you. I'll bet you Nick Chubb is going to come back. I bet you he's going to come back,
Yeah.
and
Rumor
I
has
bet
it he was
he's
in
going to.
Cleveland yesterday.
Yeah, I would just like to. Can we just sign him to a heavy incentive laden something?
Yeah.
Can we just like get that over with? Like he's had the chance to test the market. Nobody else has signed him. You know, maybe he was looking for a place to go be the lead back. Well, maybe that's just not in the cards, man. You know, not everybody gets to be the lead back, and maybe you can eventually be the lead back. All it takes is one tweak, and then the availability is open. I don't
Right.
know. I like drafting guys and sticking with them, man. I just do. It's such a big thing for me as a fan. I love that Jose Ramirez re-signed with Cleveland. He left $100 million on the table. He's like 250 million, 150 million, bro. He's like, what's the difference, bro? I I, I wouldn't pay 100 million to live outside of Cleveland. He's like, this is my home. I love it here. This is where I want to be. Why would I do that? And it's like, yes, yes, that energy is awesome. That is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And so I try to back my own. I backed Myles Garrett. I said he was getting attacked. He was backpedaling, getting attacked by two linemen and a frothing quarterback when he swung his helmet. I defended Myles lukewarmly, but I did. I defended Baker when all the Baker haters got ridiculously stupid with me for years, and I just backed him because I thought he deserved it. I backed Nick Chubb. Um, I'm out on Stefanski and Barry because the proof is in the pudding. I, I,
But you know,
I
do
was
you want?
so turned off by how Stefanski refused to bench Baker and just force him into the surgery, and I'm so turned off by what Barry did to mess up our quarterback thing with Deshaun Watson. Like I'm done with them. I don't have anything personally invested in them. They're dead to me. They can win me back as a fan because every other year Stefanski's coach of the year, right? All right, whatever. But I just need results, and I want it to be sustained for a decade, for two
Yeah.
decades. Why can't we be consistently competitive in the playoffs for 2 decades, like the Steelers, like the Ravens, like the Patriots? Like it's not uncommon for someone to be competitive for a decade and a half. I
And
want
the
that.
Chiefs now,
I
yeah.
just want that already. I want to be the Chiefs. I want to be the Eagles. I want to be consistently competitive like the Rams. I want that. I'm so sick of the up and the down shit. So over it. But anyway, I was just saying I like backing my hometown players, like the mid '90s Indians, where they came up from the farm system. Jim Tomey and I guess we made some shrewd trades to get Kenny Lofton and Sandy Alomar, Omar Vizquel. A lot of those were trades, but Baerga came up through our system, I think, or was he the Padres too?
I
Albert
agree.
Bell definitely up through the systems. Manny Ramirez definitely up through the system. Jim Tomey definitely came up through our minor league system, and I just love that. I
Still
love
wasn't
sticking with
enough.
players.
Still wasn't enough.
Ah,
Game 7, 1-0, bro.
ah.
We're aging ourselves, Brian.
I know. Let's not do that. Yeah. What about that Cardi B song? Huh? Wow, that Cardi B. She's quite a number, eh? Yeah. Let's
Yes.
talk. Yeah, we're hip too. Um, So I don't know. I don't know if you still had mock draft up there. What else you wanted to talk about? Because if you did, like I was just kind of curious to like see, do we think the Giants are going to take that spot? And which quarterbacks are left that are projected to go in the first round? I mean, the Jackson Darts, the Jaden Milrose. I'm just fascinated with the position, and I'm just trying to see which other QB needy teams. Here's my nightmare. Here's my nightmare. You ready for it? The Steelers draft Will Howard at what number do they pick? 18, 20, 22.
They are 21.
Perfect spot to take Will Howard, and we just have to deal with that for 20 years. His 4 Super Bowls,
That'll be a slap in the
his
face.
6 Super Bowl. I know. That is my nightmare scenario.
Well, here's a good scenario. We trade back with the Giants to number 3. We take their second all at 34.
All right.
I mean,
And
that's
then
2
what?
back-to-back picks. We can use capital, move back up in the first round above Schittsburg, and take Will Howard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
Look,
give Schittsburg 2 back-to-back second-round picks.
I think we're putting
You
a
give
little bit too much stock in the player, Jason. Let's remember we gave Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry a chance to draft any quarterback that they wanted
yeah.
within reason. They within reason they had all those picks, all those rounds to develop a guy. They took Dorian Thompson Robinson, and you've seen how well prepared he looks based on how well Kevin Stefanski coached him. You heard the reports that Jameis Winston would get torn apart at the meetings by Stefanski, but he was afraid to talk a single negative word about anything that Deshaun Watson would do. That reporting came out from Jason Lloyd. That's who's coaching up our talent. It doesn't matter who we take if Stefanski sucks. But all I heard was, oh, Stefanski, they call him the quarterback whisperer. Oh, he's the quarterback whisperer. Oh, he's a genius with quarterbacks. Based on what? Based on running Baker Mayfield out of town? Based on not re signing Joe Flacco? Based on what do we call him the quarterback whisperer, Jason?
I
I mean,
mean,
how concerned are you? Because Dorian Thompson Robinson was such a failure.
look at Kirk Cousins though. Stephon Diggs wanted out of Minnesota because of Stefanski. Like you really got to look at his past as being the OC of Minnesota. Why didn't we actually make that effort to go after Kirk in Atlanta, even though they were going to keep him?
I think we were making an effort. I just think the price was too high, and I don't think they're sold on Penix. Penix has injury history, and they're already so pot committed. Like they burned all the money anyway. Like at this rate, just keep him for an extra $15 million. Fuck it, let's just keep him on the roster. It didn't make sense that he had to leave that team. I'm sure we made phone calls and offered him a seventh round pick, but uh, you know, Kirk Cousins has had his injury problems too.
Right. But if
Every
he's
every player in the league can have injury problems too. It's a violent sport. That has to be baked into this as well.
my point is though, like if Stefanski's that quarterback whisperer, why didn't Kirk Cousins say, "Pull the trigger, I want out. Let me go to Cleveland"?
Oh, why? Well, maybe he did. Maybe maybe the Falcons just maybe they just weren't listening. Maybe they weren't interested as much. They fielded the calls, but at that
They were
price,
willing
they
to
might as
eat
well
part of
just
his
keep him.
money though. They were willing to eat part of his money.
Yeah. Well, I think Dorian Thompson Robinson's inability to kick ass is the main point I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
That's who Barry and Stefan. Now maybe Stefanski doesn't get a say, but I'll tell you what: if you're Andrew Barry and you're not consulting Kevin Stefanski so that Stefanski gets a strong say, then Barry needs to be fired. Like, what are you even here for?
So
It's
you're
not
telling me
just
that you think Stefanski is a yes man?
I'm saying that he needs to be vocal. He needs to be adamant about what he needs to succeed. I think he needs to realize that his time is up. The excuses are gone. Fans like me blame him for
At least he
running
doesn't have
Baker
to
out of
watch the
town
tape
instead
though.
of. Mm, well,
That loss is on him. He never once said he had to watch the tape every presser.
we're gonna have to watch the tape. Yeah,
You're fired.
we're
Get
gonna
the
have to
fuck out
watch
of my
the tape.
office. Good old Hugh Jackson,
Uh,
man.
yeah,
You see that
we've
episode
seen
of
a
Hard
lot of
Knocks?
miserable football. Yeah, revisit the scene for me. Paint the picture for people if they haven't
Oh, they
seen
just
it.
walked in his office, said you're fired. He's like, get the fuck out of my office. Like, it's crazy, man.
No, I want Stefanski. He's the offensive guy. What the hell is the deal with this offensive coordinator thing? This revolving doors, revolving chairs. I think Stefanski, the only thing he's an expert at is deflecting blame and weaseling his way out of situations that he's responsible for causing. Honestly, I don't have a high impression of Kevin Stefanski. Was
Are
that
you
too harsh?
are you sold on Kellen as OC though?
Am I being too harsh on Stefanski first?
I mean, he did try to give up play calling. I don't think you're being too hard on him. It's like a shut up or it's a put up or shut up type situation right now. And at the end of the day, but are you tired as a Cleveland Browns fan of the revolving door of head coaches and GMs?
Yes, I am.
And I think that's what they're trying to put a stamp on it. Like Cleveland is done with the revolving door. But I'm also done with losing.
They've had ample opportunity to turn this around, and we have set ourselves back 3 years. We lost our core, our window, our championship window is gone. The fact that they get a second chance to F this up is astonishing. Okay, here's another chance. No more revolving door. But my God, I can't live through a third one. I can't do it. Jason, I cannot live through a third one, which is why I'm so excited for the draft. Whatever they do is the right decision because it's going to
Yeah,
reveal the maximum capabilities that they have. And they
I'm
have
looking
swung
forward
and
to it.
missed on the draft a bunch of times. And if they can't get the draft right, what are you even doing here? Goodbye. And I want Stefanski consulting on this is the type of quarterback I want. You couldn't make Baker Mayfield work. He worked with the Rams. He's worked with 2 straight divisional championships down in Tampa. Tampa and a very stable organization that just moved on from Tom Brady.
Let's
And
talk about
Baker
their
has become
division, though.
this.
Let's talk about Tampa's division right now, though.
No. We don't need to do that because he got it done. Fine, maybe he's not battling Mike Tyson in his prime every day, but it's still the NFL, and he still goes. He won a playoff game 2 years ago. It's more than we've had, and I don't blame Joe Flacco for the loss that the Browns had in that game against the Texans, the lone playoff game. I think a lot of it was coaching. I think we were tipping our hand. And I think the other team knew exactly what we were doing, and that was because of coaching and tendencies. And we didn't disguise formations, we didn't change anything up. So the same awesome coach that got us to the playoffs also kind of hit a glass ceiling in the playoffs. Flacco got blamed for a couple of interceptions, but I also want to say that I think the interception could be one of the more overrated statistics. If you break it down by are you currently on third down and long when you throw the ball 30 or more yards downfield, leading to an interception, I'll just call that a punt. I don't even care if that's the statistic in that scenario. I don't want it a first or second down. But if you're just given a punt with a chance to catch it, anyway, it's an interesting point that I've settled on for philosophy. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Do you push back on that? Or are you
No.
anti-interception hardcore?
The Flacco's arm is absolutely phenomenal. He can hit
It
his
is.
targets,
It's
but he
great.
forces it. He forces it too much. And the pocket presence is amazing still at his age, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
If you look back and you look back at the fact that when Flacco and Watson were somebody protected Watson. As soon as Flacco got off his couch, drove to Cleveland, flew to Cleveland, however the hell Andrew Barrett got him to Cleveland, the offensive line started protecting him. He had enough time to throw the ball, but he was forcing it into double coverage. He wasn't reading dropping linebackers. He wasn't reading short safeties. Interceptions lose football games, Brian.
Yeah, they do. I saw Jameis Winston, 500 yards and a couple of interceptions. I know. I'm just saying, like, if there's a strategic interception versus a really stupid first, second down thing, I kind of view it a little differently. Like maybe after a holding call, now it's you know third and 15, third and 17. You're backed up. It's a low percentage play anyway. Air it up, stretch the defense out. Fine, they intercept it out of bounds. Who cares? But you know, I digress. Flacco did bring us something, and it reminded you that
Brought energy.
Stefanski's offense isn't so bad, but it feels that bad when you watch Dorian Thompson Robinson or when you watch Deshaun Watson back there. Aside from one perfect half of football from Deshaun Watson against the Ravens when he got that first shoulder injury, and
Yeah.
a couple of okay games, he played like absolute trash when he was available, which wasn't very often. I mean, does Deshaun Watson ever play in Cleveland again?
I don't
Is he
think so.
completely out for this season? Is it already ruled out this entire season, or that's to be determined? Where are we at with the?
I mean, when you're dumb enough to re-injure your
I
injury,
just dislike him so much.
you
Yeah,
know me. I
with his
backed him
new
up.
Achilles.
Yeah, you
Oh,
know
I
me. I
do.
backed him up 100% coming in when he
I
was
know.
traded to Cleveland, right?
You did. You did.
He proved me wrong though. Like he like absolutely dumpster fire. You literally, when your fans, disgusting. I would never do this. I was not in the stadium at that time, guys. But when the fans absolutely cheer your injury, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Let me say, I was in the room. I was in the building when Tim Couch got injured and Kelly Holcomb came in. Remember that Tim Couch, Kelly Holcomb back and forth stuff?
Oh, that was a good
I
season.
I was there. I think I was in the end zone. I think that was the Ravens, unless I'm mixing the games up. But I was there when it was the Holcomb thing,
Right.
and I cheered. I was so excited. I was Team Holcomb. I was definitely a Holcomb guy.
I think every one
And a
of us
guy,
were.
well, the guy behind me says, "Hey, man, you're cheering an injury. Show some class." And I'm like, I wasn't cheering because Couch is hurt. I'm cheering because Holcomb has a chance now. I'm cheering Holcomb's chance. Come on, Holcomb, let's go. New guy, let's go. Come on. I don't know. Maybe it came off as more anti-Couch, but it was really just mostly pro Holcomb. Maybe a
Yeah.
little less than 100% pro Holcomb. But like, man, glad we can finally move on from this. But I had even softened my position in my anti-Watson stuff. I let it be known. I hated the move. I always said that. I haven't wavered a single moment this entire time. I have never changed my stance on where I'm at. But I softened my anti-Watson stuff once I was able to just decompress from the reality of just it is what it is now. He's a Brown. I'm going to cheer for him.
Right.
Oh, okay. So what's he accused of? He's getting a massage and he moves the towel aside. Oh, you mean like what Robert Kraft did? You mean like what Diddy did at every one of his parties? Okay, bad example. But like, I'm going. I'm going. Look, half these girls are Instagram models. They're not really massage therapists. Everybody knows what they're getting involved with. But you know what? Maybe he did actually find a couple of massage therapists who were actually massage therapists who were creeped out
Yeah.
by what he was doing, and he's too dumb to know the difference. He's too spoiled to deal with the ramifications of it anyway. It just turned into a big mess. Fine, it's in his past. I got to move on. What do we got today? Did you resolve your scenario? Fine, you resolved the situation. That's done. It's been through the NFL uh, front office with suspensions. I couldn't understand paying full price for somebody who was coming in on a suspended contract. I thought we should have got him at a discount, not a premium. But once again, that's one of the 50 reasons why I hate the trade. It's not all related to Baker. But I softened my anti Watson conclusion because I reached a conclusion. I never liked him. I never wanted him here. But the new conclusion was he's here. All right. And I was looking for the bright side. I wasn't always looking to laugh or point, and haha, see, I was right. Look, he sucks. And I was just calling it objectively. And objectively speaking, the dude sucked. He played a couple of okay games and a lot of pathetic ball. I don't know if it's that his brain is broken or if his arm is incapable of getting the throws to where he wants to go. But I always had the opinion of him as somebody out there at fifth grade recess on the blacktop playing with a Nerf, running around on the blacktop, avoiding the two-hand touch, running around on the blacktop like a Mike Vick. I'm just going to run around and improvise and chuck it down the field somewhere. He never struck me as a smart guy. or particularly as a quarterback that leads with anticipation and understands systems, he never struck me as bright. And the more I watched him play, I'm like, he's either physically broken or he's mentally broken. This dude is a train wreck. But I was just grading it objectively. I just wanted it to work, because if it worked, then it meant we were scoring a bunch of points and winning a bunch of games. It didn't work. I didn't want to be right.
Yeah.
You know, I could have been right about Baker Mayfield, but wrong about Watson. That could have been one of the scenarios. I would have been fine with that. That would have led to much more winning. So I forget the question, but
I mean,
that's
since
my
we're
thought
on
on that.
the topic of Kelly Holcomb, a fun fact, he started 12 games in Cleveland.
Between what years? 12 games. 07, 08, 06, 05. Jeez, how many years off am I? Tim Couch was our quarterback in 99, right?
2001 to 2004.
What? And for some reason, I blur the 99 with the 01. Okay, so our team is rebooted
Yeah,
in
that was the
01.
playoff run. 2002 playoff run.
Kevin Johnson hits him in the chest, 2002 in Schittsburg. Should have won the game. We did not.
Correct.
So then Kelly Holcomb started in 03, 04. How does that work?
I would say so. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so I don't know. Cheering injuries and whatnot, I don't know. It's just we're sick of it. We paid a premium for a product and we're not getting it. It's like we're going to see a performance of Hamilton. We're going to see these people perform, and they're not giving us a good performance. We're allowed to boo. Come on. We're all pot committed in this. Like, what are you doing? Why don't you know the plays? Because I
Right.
feel like you don't know the playbook. I don't think you know the playbook. And when you hear the report from Jason Lloyd that Stefanski wasn't even coaching Deshaun Watson, he was too scared to criticize him, that he lost a bunch of respect in that locker room. And it's not helpful to Watson to have rose-colored glasses. I guess Biden and his couple of closest handlers, they kept him so insulated, they thought, okay, the story is that Biden was so insulated, he thought that the American people loved him. He was so insulated, he wasn't interacting with anything real. And he was
Right.
being held from the general public. And what good does that do to Deshaun Watson with your ego and thinking that you're great when it's like, no, man, there's a million problems here. Can we address everything is burning? This is a problem. Can we get better at all the things? Because nothing is good. But when you're afraid to do that, that's a weird spot to be in. So I don't know, man.
I agree.
So I just say I am totally at peace if the Browns take what they consider to be a unicorn, a generational talent, a once in a lifetime, unique prospect in Travis Hunter. He's going to have packages on both sides, and that's kind of like we're drafting two players at once, and that'll help us on both sides of the ball. I'm fine with that. If we trade up to one and give up a first round pick, I'll say fine, because what you've purchased the end of the Stefanski-Berry era if this doesn't work. You can go all in on the last of the remaining chips on your stack. You're not getting access to any more chips. Go for it. If they think that that's what's going to get it done, and they told Myles Garrett what the secret plan was, is like, hey, if we give our first round pick to move up one spot, we have a deal on the table with the Titans. If we can't make something like this happen with these other scenarios, we're going to go get Cam Ward. We think he's the best quarterback we've seen in a while. He'll run our system great. Jerry Jeudy, we're going to put up a lot of points. We're going to draft a new running back. We're going to move back in. We're going to buy another pick, and we're going to take Judkins or Henderson or Gianti. We're going to get we're going to retool the offense. By the way, I'm totally fine if they say we're taking Abdul Carter and we're going to try to rebuild what the Eagles just showed us. Oh my gosh, they were dominant against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Do you want to team Myles Garrett up with Abdul Carter and you think he's the best NFL prospect, the best player available? You got it, number two. Fine, because that's your scouting and coaching that's going to get us to that point. No more excuses. Let's see it work. Win or lose, baby. Last chance. So
That's
I'd be
it, brother.
excited for that. And
I'm looking
if they
forward to the
say
draft.
I am very much so, super excited for it. Thursday, we'll know a lot
To
more. Let's
get to see Journey open up the NFL draft at Huntington Bank Field. Let's go, man.
hey, don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing, Cleveland.
Don't stop believing, Cleveland. All right, let's wrap it up there. Jason, let's talk again after the draft to kind of see how we're feeling about these
Yeah,
brownies.
absolutely. Maybe we get somebody else in here with their opinions and inputs as well.
You know, I've also been thinking about a nightly hangout, like a nightly show,
I'm in.
like a hang. So like everybody at 9 o'clock, everybody available, jump in for an hour. You know, last one in, turn the lights off, or last one out, turn the lights off. But like a place to talk sports, like each evening. I don't know if you've ever considered such a concept, but if such a concept existed, what 60-minute window would be your best window if you were guessing?
Um, I mean, 8, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock would work for me.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk again real soon, and we should open it up to, this is the best time of year. We all get excited. We get the potential to revamp and change all of the
Yeah,
things that have been wrong with our favorite team, and it's such a hopeful time of year. Spring is here. It's just, yeah, I want to talk to everybody about what we're doing to fix this team and get us back into the playoffs, man. So
Yeah, on
yeah,
the next broadcast, man, I'll be able to get it up on the PC and so we can scroll through and let everybody know what we're talking about here in the draft orders and whatnot, so they can see it and tag along with us.
yeah, draft day itself, you're gonna be there at the party.
I will be
So
there at the party, Huntington Bank Field, 6 p.m. Journey kicks off.
nice, man. Well then, we will stay in touch and do this show whenever the next best time is to do it. I'll say that I'm doing strictly football Monday with Mike Barra and Jim Mitchell. We're going to do a mock draft and kind of do a very close look at that. Our last show. Did you see our last show, Jason?
I
Strictly
did not.
football.
I did not. I don't get your notifications. I just scroll through Facebook and I see you there, and I'm like, oh, hey, it's Brian.
Yeah, notifications. It's almost like they don't like our notifications to be shown to people. It's almost like it's been that way for our entire 14-year career. It's almost like they do it intentionally, Jason. It's almost as if.
I agree.
Um,
Hey, how about this? How about Wednesday night, the night before the draft, before I go up to Huntington Bank Field and watch the number 2 either get busted or smash it out of the park, making a splash? How about we set up a time Wednesday night right before the draft and we regroup and we get some other people in here and we talk about potential draft picks?
All right. When you say right before the draft, do you mean the draft starts Thursday, not Wednesday, right? You mean the day before the draft?
The day before the draft, correct. Let's see if there's
Wednesday.
anything else that we collab, like we got together and see what Cleveland's doing, what they're thinking.
What time of day?
What time's good for you?
Okay. Thinking.
You ponder on that. You let me know when we talk here later today, and then yeah, we'll kick it off.
Yeah. Let's do that. We could say, because what I was going to suggest is maybe we put a post out and just pin it there and just kind of do at everyone and just open it up to everyone. Make it like a. All right. Let me double check on the time, but let's pencil in Wednesday and let's text tomorrow. Try to lock in the time, if not sooner.
All
But yeah,
right.
that sounds good. Because maybe there'll be some trades by then. Maybe we'll have a little better idea of what we expect to happen. And it's one of the most fun times of year to be a football fan. So let's get
It
it
is
done. Wednesday, time to be determined. Let's pencil in 3 p.m. Eastern. How does that
3
sound to
p.m.
you, Jason?
3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday. Let's do. Kid goes back to school. I pick him up around 3. Let's do 4. If you can do 4:30, 4:30
On Wednesday,
on Wednesday.
let's pencil in 4 on
Okay.
Wednesday.
Anything changes, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because I might have a hard out at 5:30, so I didn't want to put too many constraints on it in case we had a whole bunch of people and having a good time. I wouldn't want to shut it down too quick. But that's also a question mark, so that could be perfect. We'll say 4 o'clock Wednesday. I don't know if you're able to make a post in the group and just let everyone know that we're gonna open it up to everyone to talk about the draft the day before the draft and have a good time with that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Glad having you today. This is fun. I didn't know what I felt like talking about today. I
Hey,
definitely want to talk
sometimes,
about
Brian,
the
you just
crowd.
gotta ramble on. Sometimes, man. Being a content creator is not the easiest thing. So you just gotta pull shit out of your ass.
Yes, 1,800 videos I know, and every
Yeah, that's
day you're kind
crazy.
of faking it, just figuring out like what do I feel like talking about today? How
Yeah,
long do I want to talk about it? How
it's just getting
authentic
there.
do I want to be? How like am I going to try to tell jokes? It's just there's different versions of telling stories, and but I've always liked psychology. I've always liked talk radio because I like to spend an hour or two with somebody's brain. I like
Yeah,
the way like when I find a brain that's interesting. I like to sit there in the room with it and just let it expose itself. Like interesting angles. I never thought about it that way. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, hell no, I totally disagree. Just if it sparks my curiosity, that's my favorite type of stuff. But I probably got into psychology because I wanted to talk a lot. I wanted to talk to figure out what I was thinking. And a lot of times you don't know what you're thinking until you start talking.
exactly.
And
That's actually a really
that's
good
when
point,
things get
man.
fun.
While you're thinking about it, you should actually come up with a name for the show, and we could probably do it weekly.
What will be the topic?
Sports. It could go anywhere. It could go NFL, NHL. I'm not really educated on NHL or hockey or anything, but whatever you want to talk about, we can.
I think we could find people that would want to jump in, like maybe Joe Meyer. I'm thinking of like the Unhappy Hour group, some of the regulars. And by the way, to everyone else out there, hit like, hit subscribe, however you're watching. But yeah, I view this like I'm a bartender, and everybody that's in the chat room, it's like somebody who pulls up a chair and sits at the bar. So I know we have people in the Unhappy Hour that would love to sit in and talk about some sports. And
Oh, I'm
like
sure there's other
somebody's an
people.
expert at hockey, come in and be the hockey guy for the next 2 months. Also, we're talking tribe, we're talking draft, and like focus on them a little bit more. Someone's into golf. Okay, we need our golf guy. So yeah, I think if we could just say every night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna have this show, whatever we call it, the TNAM, the Unhappy Hour night show, the TNAM night show, whatever. If it's a revolving door of characters, and it's essentially it would just be a way that we could move the Unhappy Hour Facebook group over to a live setting, restreaming it multiple places at once. That's what I've always wanted to do with it. So yeah, let's figure it out. Let's
I
make
can
it
I can
happen.
honestly I can stream it all up on the Kick and Twitch platforms as well too, man, and get you guys out there. Get you out there, Brian.
Yeah, we just started a Twitch and a Kick account. D Live is not working for me. I can't figure out what the problem is with it. But yeah, distribution, getting it out as many places as possible. I'm all for all of it. I think a set time every day of the week, and maybe different people could turn the lights on sometimes. Like maybe we host it a couple days a week, but maybe other people host it some other days of the week.
It
All
sounds good
right,
to me. It'd be like around the horn
you
type
know,
shit.
yeah. Like why couldn't we just crank it out through the Unhappy Hour, through the New American Media, just and then it circles through. Like there's so many revolving door opportunities. So let's do this. Let's if you want to make a post, cool. If not, I'll do one later. Just send me a text. Let me know either way. But we'll say 4 o'clock on Wednesday. We'll do our pre-draft show, and we'll go from there.
All right, sounds good, Brian.
All right, Jason. Good talking to you. We'll talk to you again soon.
All
Take
right,
care,
have a good day,
everyone.
guys. Later.